All right, a very beautiful Monday morning and welcome to the studios of the Reach 104.9 FM Owerri. Yes, of course, this is the station that is always there. Yeah, you know, sometimes your plans for the morning don't really turn out the way you must have, mapped it all out in your head. But then again, you just have to get up, get dressed, and of course show up. Now apologies, we couldn't come your way last week Monday, yes, and that was of course due to certain situations or circumstances beyond our control, but we are back. Yes, we are back with you, and of course this wonderful Monday morning I've got the man that always occupies the seat on Mondays by 8:30 a.m. and that is Prince Joel Esquire. But news reaching has had it that during the weekend something happened and his title changed. So I guess I'll just allow him introduce himself because I hear this title. There's just something about it. Welcome to the studios.
Thank you, Ife. A beautiful morning to you. A beautiful morning to Imolites and wonderful morning to Nigeria.
Okay, so tell us what happened during the weekend.
What happened? Well, greater heights, greater heights. Over the weekend, Friday precisely, I was honored with a doctorate degree.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, a doctorate degree from from the University of European American University in US.
Wow.
Honored me with a doctorate degree in law practice, real estate development, and corporate leadership.
Wow.
So officially, I am Dr. PJ.
Okay, so it's no longer Prince Joel Esquire. It's now Dr. PJ.
Yeah, Dr. Prince Joel.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
Can I just call you Dr. PJ?
Fantastic.
Okay, so yeah, we have Dr. PJ joining us officially, yes, for law and property. Remember, this program comes your way every Monday, 8:30 to 9 a.m. And one of the very important things, or one of the important reasons why you should be listening to this program is that I have to get used to that title. Dr. PJ will be opening your eyes to all you need to know with regards to real estate investment and also making sure that you carry out due diligence and of course many other topics as well. Now the week before last, if you remember, of course you should remember, we talked about how to prove ownership to land in Nigeria and Imo State in particular. But today you have something very important that affects every individual, and of course particularly for those in southeastern Nigeria, and that has to do with that next of kin.
Yes, the phrase next of kin.
Exactly, and you say that is what we're going to be talking about today.
Exactly.
So over to you, Dr. PJ.
Yes, thank you very much, Ife. This morning I want us to quickly look at the legal meaning of the word next of king.
Okay.
Yeah, very often we see this word next of king.
Next of king or next of kin?
Next of king.
Next of kin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so very often we see this word and we really do not understand the full legal implication of it. If you're buying a property today, where the parties are described, you say, hereinafter I refer to the buyer or the seller, and entitle his next of kin, successors in title and all that. So this morning I want to quickly look at the word next of kin. Here very often you see these things in documents. So this morning I just want to quickly look at it. What does it really mean? Okay. And I'll start the definition from the Oxford Dictionary.
All right.
The Oxford Dictionary defines it as a person's closest living relative. A person's closest living relative.
Okay.
If you go to freedictionary.com, it describes or defines it as next of kin are the blood relatives entitled by law to inherit the property of a person who dies without leaving a valid will. Although the terms is sometimes interpreted to include a relationship existing by reason of marriage. Now, very often we see these things and people feel that because there's next of kin and so they're entitled to inherit the property, or entitled to step into the shoes of the deceased person. This morning we'll look at it briefly. When filling out application forms, you also see these things in the bank. They will ask you who is your next of kin.
Especially when you want to open accounts, right?
Exactly. Yes, we are required to state our next of kin in most documents. When the person is alive, he's filling his form, these questions will always come. Our next of kin gets all our assets That's the literal understanding.
Okay.
But that's not in the case under the Nigerian legal system. Okay? That your name is stated next of kin does not necessarily mean that you get all the property when the person dies.
So by property, you mean both landed properties and otherwise?
Both landed, both movable and immovable property.
Okay.
The concept next of kin comes in three senses, and I'll just dwell on those three senses. One, it can be used simply refer to the nearest blood relative. Okay? It can be used to simply refer to the nearest blood relative. Okay, so your nearest blood relative could be your son, could be your daughter, could be your siblings. Okay, that's one sense of it. The other sense of it, it can be used to notify necessary authorities, okay, in the case of any eventualities. You understand? If something like an accident happens, emergency or death, you notify the person. It does not necessarily mean that the person has a right to inherit your property, okay? The third one, the term can be used to refer to a heir after the due process of law. Okay, after the due process of law is followed. Example, where there is a will or letter of administration is obtained for a deceased person. You understand that? So I've just stated three senses where this next of kin can be used. The first one, it can be used to simply refer to the nearest blood relative. Nearest blood relative. The second one, it can be used to notify necessary authorities in the case of any eventualities of life, such as an accident, emergency, or death. You may be required to make medical, decisions such as providing information or constant, when you want to conduct surgery, there's always a next of kin, that does not necessarily
to help make the decision.
Exactly. And the third term, the term can be used to refer to an heir after the due process. Now, where there is a will, okay, the heir apparent, the heir who inherits the property, it can be referred to that, or where there is letter of administration. Okay, so those are the three senses where you see this feature very well. Next of kin as it relates to inheritance. Now, when a person dies, leaving behind a will, and that's what we call testate. When a person dies, testate. Okay. Now, the matter of next of kin becomes unnecessary in the eyes of the law. It is so because once a person makes a valid will, once you make a valid will, he exercises the right to choose the beneficiaries. The man who has left a will had already made provision for who will do what, who will inherit his wealth. So the issue of locating his next of kin for the purpose of succession will not arise. I don't know if you understand that. It will not arise. So the best that can be done in the circumstances is that just to share the wealth in line with the content of the will. I don't know if I'm communicating. Okay? So where there is a valid will, where the person dies testate, the issue of next of kin does not arise because the person has made provision for next of kin in his will. I'm hoping to talk about will in a subsequent edition.
Talking about will here in southeastern Nigeria.
They think they will die immediately.
Oh my goodness.
All right, that's a talk for another day.
Yes, of
so
course.
We need to understand that once there's a will, the issue of next of kin will not arise because the man who wrote his will has made provision for who is his or her next of kin. You understand that? But what if the deceased left no will? That's where they say that he dies intestate. Okay, does it mean that person mentioned as next of kin automatically does what? Steps into the shoe?
Okay.
That is not the position. The answer is no. At best, he can only be contacted to be notified of any happening.
Okay.
You understand that? Of any happening, or be asked to give some information, some level of information about the disease, but not for him to inherit or benefit from anything.
I know some
now, I've given two scenarios.
Okay.
Yes. The first is where there's a will.
Okay.
The second is where there's no will. Where there is no will and there's a next of kin and your name is mentioned there, does not necessarily mean that you will step in to inherit.
Where there's no will and there's a next of kin, and your name is stated there, it doesn't mean you will step in to inherit.
It doesn't mean.
Hey. You're shaking some tables.
It doesn't mean that you are the heir apparent or the one to inherit.
Oh my goodness.
Under inheritance. You understand that?
Okay.
So where the deceased died without making a will, the family goes for what? Administration of his estate through probate in accordance with the various laws in various states.
Wow.
You understand that? Now, so that the man died or the woman died without leaving a will. But in some documents, your name has been mentioned as next of kin. Under the legal system does not necessarily mean that you will step in and inherit the man's property.
Okay, you need to see me smiling because I know some people's tables have been shattered. We're actually live on Facebook. It's at the Reach 104.9 FM. So you should actually watch us live because I'm smiling here and I'm wondering, all those people that felt, oh, because I'm the next of kin, I am entitled to so and so. Well, Dr. PJ is actually saying that is not the case.
Because when the man dies and you go for letter of administration. You understand? In the course of processing letter of administration, there will be the executors and the administrators will be appointed. Are you getting me?
So for anyone who had plans of inheriting, you know,
because your name is there and all that. No, it's only where there's a valid will, it doesn't come up. Where there is no will, it does not necessarily mean it does not arise.
Okay.
Okay, because that I mentioned your name as next of kin does not necessarily mean that you will inherit my property.
Oh,
because when you apply the rules in probate, when you apply the rules of letter of administration, that will not apply.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Where customary law is applicable, the next of kin of an intestate are those who are under native law and custom entitled to inherit his estate. Now, under our customary law, okay. Now, if somebody dies and there is no will, okay. Now, the custom has already made provision for those who are entitled under customary law, those who are entitled to inherit his estate.
Okay.
Since customary law in Nigeria is not uniform, now remember that it differs. The way the Yoruba will apply it is different from the way the Igbo will apply it. It's different from the way the North will apply it. So it is not uniform. So since customary law in Nigeria is not uniform, it will suffice to say that a deceased person cannot, while alive, confer inheritance rights on persons not so entitled under customary law by doing what? By naming them in his next of kin documents.
Okay, I think at this point we should open the phone lines because I know lots of people must be, you know, somewhere waiting for when, you know, life happens and this person...
Before we go there, you know, this, under customary law just explains the issue of the Diokpa system. Okay, the Okpara system, the first son thing. In Igbo land, when the man dies, okay, the customary law has already made provision who inherits his property. And the first son literally steps in. My father is no more alive. I stepped in and I inherited his property and I hold it on trust on behalf of my siblings. It's my property, my inheritance. Okay, it's my property. So, but I'm holding it on trust on behalf of them.
Okay. 09070001049. Today's topic is really educative. So for those of you that think because you are the next of kin to so and so person, you are automatically entitled to some of your property or all of your properties, well, I think Dr. PJ, Dr. Prince Joel, is actually here to, you know,
disabuse our mind.
He's actually here to shatter that table. So keep your calls and messages coming in for those of you that have questions with regards to what he's talking about today. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name? Augustine. Where's Augustine calling from? Augustine, you're far from your phone. Can you speak up so we can hear you properly?
Can you hear me clearly?
It's better now. Go ahead.
Okay. I love this program and I'm so interested, and that's why I'm calling this.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Go ahead.
In a situation where the land is actually, I heard the doctor very well. I heard him clearly, but I want to ask a few questions here.
Go ahead. What with you?
My question is this: a situation where the deceased, the owner of the property, is late, but the only son, the first son, is the heir to the first son is the one to take over the property, according to our laws in Igbo land.
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to be clear enough. What if the first son was not indicated in any of the will? In fact, there was no will at all. There was no will at all. And the disease has so much properties, has companies to be taken care of. How is that going to be reconciled?
What was the last one?
Okay.
He doesn't have any right. Yes, he is the first son, no doubt. But there's none of the property is written in his name. None of the properties.
There's no will.
There's no will at all. So how does it reconcile?
Okay, will that be all?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well, all right, quick. Let me respond, and we can also talk more offline. Number one, when a man dies without a will, two things happen. Number one, either the customary law where he hails from will apply as it relates to the distribution of his wealth, or as it relates to inheritance. Okay. Now, where there is a will, the will very often takes care of who inherits and who takes what. Okay. Now, in this circumstance or in this situation, there's no will, and he has a son. The custom of the place under customary law will prevail. That's number one. Number two, if his family members decide, or the wife decide to apply for administration, probate, decide to apply to probate for administration of for letter of administration of estate. Now, the executors that will be mentioned or that will be appointed will see to the distribution of his assets. Okay, so if they want to go by way of applying to letter of administration where there is no will, okay, the administrators will be the one to distribute his assets. And in the course of doing that, they will also, if it's a traditional man, they will also take cognizance of the customary law. Now, it's also a different situation where the son, it's not the son of the woman in the house. Okay, means that the legitimate wife, the wife that he validly marries, okay, does not have a child, and this son belongs to another woman outside. It's another kettle of its own, kettle of fish on its own. Okay, at the end of the day, the custom of the people will still prevail. If it's in the urban area, the thing is to apply for administration of estate. Who will apply? Who will take the first step? Usually, the wife will be the first person that will approach probate to apply for that. But for more discussions on will, inheritance, and all that, I would suggest you do me a WhatsApp and we can talk more about it.
Okay, 09070001049. Today we are looking at the legal meaning of next of kin. Of course, some of you must have actually seen that place or seen that box when you're trying to fill some forms that have to do with either your bank or any other thing at all. Well, today Dr. PJ is actually telling us it's different. Good morning. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from, please. All right, do well to call us back if you can. 09070001049. This is Everything Legal on the Reach 104.9 FM Owerri with Dr. Prince Joel. Yes, his name he's actually changed. He got another title during the weekend. And today he's actually letting us understand that the next of kin you know about, that one that makes you think that when someone passes on, you're actually next in line to occupy all of the property, that if that person was, had property while he was alive. He's actually telling us it's different. So for those of you that used to think, oh, once this person goes to meet the Lord, everything is mine, then I think you really have to call him, because it's really changing our mindset this morning. But what else do we need to know with regards to that, Dr. PJ?
Yes, it's very important, because as we acquire properties, I'm a real estate investment coach, and what I coach people, it's how to invest in real estate and how to make use of the funds very well. So you've got money, you want to invest in real estate, and what I do is I help you, I guide you through. In doing that, I see these things happen very often. Okay, and that's why I choose to treat this topic this morning. You must know who is your next of kin. In the course of filling your documents, in the course of your agreements, who succeeds you when you are not here.
Okay, let's take this call. Good morning. Good morning. Your name and location. All right, welcome, Chima. Go ahead.
Please, I want to ask a question here from this. If a man married, have a kid, like a baby girl, and suddenly the man died, or an accident or what. Now, if the woman decides to go, does she have right to occupy the husband's property?
If the woman decides to go, as in by go you mean get married to another person?
Man, yes. Will
yes, you are married.
Okay.
If he has the right to carry the man's property to the new husband. Yes. Now, first of all, we must define the marriage. Okay, the first marriage had been issued. Was it a valid marriage? Was it a marriage recognized by law? Or they were cohabiting? You know, a lot of people can cohabit and all that. Now, if you have married your wife customarily and you've married her through the white wedding, okay, like we know it, okay, so she is your valid, she is your wife, she's your valid wife. So if you are no more and you have a baby, whether boy or girl, the first person that steps in, okay, it's your wife. Okay, now if you have properties and you die without leaving a will, the proper thing for your wife to do is to approach the probate to apply for letter of administration so that she and her daughter, or maybe one other family member, cannot be the administrators, the executors of the letter of administration.
Okay, but quick question, Dr. PJ. How early, you know, after the demise of her husband, is she supposed to do this?
Now, this is taking us to will. The smartest thing to do, okay, when the person is no more, is who handles or lay hands on the death certificate. Whoever that handles the death certificate is the person who can process what? The letter of administration. So if the man dies and the girlfriend, okay, sorry to use that word,
the side
chicks, okay, was smart enough to handle the death certificate, okay, without the knowledge of the wife at home, okay, the side chick can take steps. Now, whether she succeeds is a different thing, but she can take steps to initiate letter of administration. But of course, the wife will challenge that.
Yes, of course.
The wife will challenge that. Yeah. So the smartest thing to do, okay, I don't know why I'm saying that, but the smartest thing to do in situation like that is to lay hands on the death certificate, because when you go to apply for letter of administration, one of the requirements you must produce is the death certificate. If you don't have it, you cannot process a letter of administration.
Wow, 09070001049. I tell you, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely learning some things this morning. This is
I'm not saying that people should start looking for death certificates. So.
I know, but then again, you know, knowledge is power. 09070001049. This is Law and Property with Dr. Prince Joel. It's not just, you know, Prince Joel Esquire. The name is actually, you know, changed. But then again, you before the program started, you said there's some people you'd want to say thank you to for actually making this program possible. But let's take this call before we do that. Good morning. Good morning this morning. Your name and location. Hello. Okay, go ahead, Obina.
Yes. In this discussion, is legal oversight or something.
Law and property.
The issue, balancing, because what I hear is the demise of a man, if the man dies. I think and vice versa, right?
Yes, vice versa. If the woman dies too.
Or is it only the man that will?
That will die. Yeah. Now we have also seen situations where the woman is also super rich with so much properties. Okay, so it doesn't apply to the man very often. But it's so unfortunate that very often we think of the man.
It's frightening and a kind of everyday kind of church whereby you see men living. And it's like that, women claim it.
But you know, the thing is, the life expectancy rate for men in Nigeria, I think, is between 52 and 62.
Because the men do all the work for what?
The very parameter you are using now is outdated.
Really? Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, would that be all, Obinna? Okay.
Okay, Obinna, thank you for raising this. It's a very sensitive one. But you know, it amazes me if you pick up a newspaper, obituary newspaper or list of obituary obituary paper, and you begin to read, you say he is survived by his wife and family. If you read 10 of them, 8 of them will read that he is survived by his wife, children, and family members and all that. So the question is it really true that men die more in numbers than women? That's a different case. Okay. I mean, that's a case for another day. My focus this morning is to let us understand the legal meaning of next of kin. And when we do acquire properties, to take cognizance of who is our next of kin. Very, very key. Yes. And differentiate it where there is a will and where there is no will. They are two different things. And of course, consider the customary law as applicable in various states and various states. So that's basically it. I want to use this opportunity. It's very important that when I come here, I appreciate those who have made this possible. Yes, of course. And the company that has made this possible is known as propertygallery.com.ng. That's their online presence, and propertygallery.com Limited. Okay. They are the people who have made this very, very possible, and it's right that I say thank you to them. And what do? They buy properties for estate acquisition or for estate development. They sell and they manage. That's what they do. And one of these days, we should give them opportunity to come here to talk. Yeah, one of these days. One of these days. Okay. Again, I must say that all that I have said here is not a legal advice. This is just discussion, okay? I have not offered any legal advice. On this program, I'm a real estate investment coach. It must be on record before I'll be accused wrongly. Yeah, I was saying something else. Yes. And lastly, a program is coming up on the 10th of April. Yes, okay. Our next program will talk about it. Yes, it's a master class, a real estate entrepreneurship master class for those who want to seek a career in real estate. In the program, we will do that. And please, on Facebook, I will advise that you follow me on Facebook so that you get more of this information. Okay, so just give out your numbers because time is against. Yeah, the number is 080-2055-0410. Again, slowly this time. 080-34. 080-20-55-0410. And that, of course, is where we will call it a wrap. Apologies. Hopefully, we're able to extend the time for this program to accommodate all of your questions. Now, just follow me on Facebook. Yeah. Yes, okay. So before we even go, the current life expectancy rate for Nigeria in 2021 is 55.12 years. So I hope this answers some questions that some people might be having. Coming up next is the Celebrate With Me show on the Reach 104.9 FM. Thank you so much for joining us.